Thank you very much and welcome back after this wonderful lunch. And I'm going to take over chairing the second block of presentations, which will deal with the issues of coexistence in the everyday life of reindeer herders. After the crash course I took yesterday in reindeer herding, now I feel qualified to be able to chair such a session. So now it's with some knowledge that I call on Pirjo Oinas from the Lapland University to talk about large carnivores and social problems in reindeer herding cooperatives. Take the floor, and as usual, please keep to the 20 minutes we have.
I'm working as a researcher at the Faculty of Social Sciences in the University of Lapland, and I'm going to shortly tell you something about one of our researchers which is going on in the University of Lapland. Okay. The social and economic coping of reindeer herding families within changing livelihood and communities is a research project conducted by the study program of social work in the University of Lapland in 2012 to 28. Amongst the people interviewed for the research were students and other young people in the phase of choosing their profession, young and middle-aged families with children and grandparents working in reindeer herding. Based on the stories of the interviewers, reindeer herding for them is not only about the family living, but also it is also an important part of their lifestyle and culture. The research materials show that the recent changes in society and environment have significantly reduced the profitability of reindeer herding and weakened the motivation of the families. The growing amount of large carnivores has a negative impact on the development of the community. In order of avoiding the damages caused by the carnivores, the reindeers have to be fed in a fencing in the yard, and this strongly pinch the family in the work. The damage done by the carnivores has decreased the number of reindeers in the reindeer herding cooperatives and thus reduced the profitability. This has caused a decrease in the number of people working part or full-time in reindeer herding, and since there are less people participating in the common work and tasks in the cooperatives, the reindeer herding community as a whole is getting smaller and weaker. Particularly in the southernmost cooperatives, the families are facing an economical crisis. The poor profitability causes the average age of people working in the reindeer herding to increase. The young people don't see reindeer herding as a lucrative profession. The increase in the damage caused by the carnivores and decrease in the profitability sets the parents to advise their children to get another occupation or even to forbid them from continuing their work in reindeer herding. This is the mother. I asked, what if your kids want to be reindeer herders too? Would you let them? And she said to me, no, I wouldn't let them. She has seen those difficulties in her family nowadays. In the southern parts of the reindeer herding area, the reindeer herding is a livelihood faces two new and notable challenges. As a livelihood faces two new and notable challenges. The first one is that in order to avoid the damages caused by the carnivores, the reindeers have to be collected in a fencing for the most part of the year, which heavily engages the families in their work every day. The other challenge is that during the periods, the free grazing and roaming, the time spent in searching the reindeers killed by the carnivores can take unpredictably long times and eats up both working and free time. Reindeer herding is a main source of income in these areas, demands work and attention round the clock and year round, and it is difficult to cut loose from the have another job or to have free time and spend holidays. In some families, the growing demands of work have caused the lives of spouses to diverge when the husband is pinned to his work all week and weekends year round. One solution to the decreasing profitability is to earn some extra income in another field of work or occupation, for example, tourism. The problem with this is that earning the extra income demands time, which eats up the time spent in reindeer herding, tasks, and also the time spent in the common work at the reindeer herding cooperative. This in turn causes the income from reindeer herding to decrease and weakens the cooperative as a whole, especially if too many of the reindeer herders decide to only work part-time. In this point of view, even if the extra income job is based and directly connected to reindeer herding culture, it can be challenging to combine these two. Another problem with the big resources is faced when the reindeer herding cooperative gets a permission to shoot a damage-causing carnivore living in their area. These permits are sought for, but on the other hand, the hunting demands know-how, money, and time. The time spent in the hunt again causes missing the important tasks and routines in the reindeer herding and the common work at the cooperatives. The lack of motivation caused by these preventionate reasons can also be the reason why the children of the reindeer herding families are not willing nowadays to continue their parents' work, but want to choose another occupation. The decision the young adults have to make out of necessity can be difficult and thought one for the parents to face. This is a father. He said to me, our son told us that he is not interested. And I asked, how did you feel about that? And he said, I couldn't say anything. We always had reindeers in our family. And this was a very hard question. My question was very hard to him. He almost cried when he said, I couldn't say anything. The southernmost cooperatives with the most difficult situations, the stress and economical pressure are causing a general decreasing in the sense of community. In the reindeer herding culture, the community and the sense of community are crucial factors in the long traditions and the lifelines in building the future of reindeer herding culture. Being a part of the work and culture early on, the children learn the profession within the chain of generations. The kind of on-the-job learning is nowadays rare and uncommon in other professions. The professional interests shows also the essential part of the occupation, the reindeer itself. When the conversation in the interviews turned to the reindeer, the interviews admitted directly or indirectly that the animal itself is an important part of their everyday life and environment. Not only that, but also the natural rhythm of reindeer dictating their rhythm of life is seen as a valuable and important part of their worldview and well-being. The reindeer is appreciated as it is. It is seen as a unique creature. Here is many have telling me, a reindeer herder telling me, many have tried to quit, but the reindeer is an unusual being in a way that it follows a man from cradle to grave. Not many can get rid of it. What kind of stories there is? There are stories that some have quitted and then after a few years came back. And some have quitted twice and then they still came back for the third time. Of course, because it's a way of life. You can't get rid of it. The reindeer is, I don't know what kind of creature it is, but you can't get rid of it, even if you want. Okay? Because of large damages caused by the carnivores and the extensive consequences, some families outside the most reindeer herding cooperatives are facing such a difficult economical situation that they had to quit reindeer herding and abandon the long traditions of their family. Because the reindeer herding is not only work and livelihood, but also their lifestyle and culture. The decision to quit can cause personal and family-wide crises that is hard to live down and overcome. And here's an example for it. What do you feel now that you can, when you had to give up the reindeers and quit the reindeer herding? I lost my profession and lifestyle at least, and I don't know what else. Relationships, co-workers. I'll tell you as it is. Frankly speaking, I was depressed for a few years didn't have any connections anywhere, and so on. The relationship to nature within the people working in the reindeer herding is practical and concrete and causes a different approach to situations and encounters with the carnivores compared to people who come from different cultures or see nature from a more ideological point of view. These encounters shape and relationship to nature and cause it strongly diverse from the views of other cultures. One more. Do people understand you when you speak about the carnivores? Frankly speaking, no. At least that's how I feel about it. They think they are nice and cute, meaning carnivores. They haven't seen the reality. When you see a reindeer ripped apart by the carnivores, some meat eaten but the reindeer is still alive, a raven sitting on it, a living reindeer, I think many would have to open their eyes. It's not a game with the carnivores over there. The reindeer herding culture is often seen as a marginal culture because it's both a regional and original culture. Not only the northern culture itself a minority considering the Finland as a whole, but also the reindeer herders are minority compared to the population in the northern Finland and their occupation and sources of livelihood. As a culture, it has a long traditions and it is an essential part of the image of Lapland. It isn't easy to estimate what kind of and how much of the originality in the culture of Lapland would be lost with the reindeer herding culture. It is also important to realize that within the disappearance of a culture disappears also the cultural heritage and the know-how of the traditional professions. The broken chain of generations is difficult, if not impossible, to repair afterwards. Thank you.